Well, folks, we've reached it. Look, we have company. That's Lolo. She's enjoying this book too. This is day 36. This is the end, the stunning conclusion of the next. I know you've been begging for this to come to an end, and here we go. Let's go along for a ride with Kate and her chapter. It was hours later, near dawn, that I awakened next to Molly, and then I saw the envelope on the table in the dimness. My name was on it, written in a child's handwriting, a familiar child's handwriting. The sound I had heard focused. It was the car, starting up, pulling away. I opened the letter. Dearest Kate, a few minutes ago I stood by your bed and watched you and Molly sleeping together peacefully. Please believe me, I'd never willingly do anything to disturb that peace. I've come to love you both too much for that. But what you said must be true. My destiny must be to harm you both. You were right about the rages, you know. I don't think I can control them. And so the only thing I can think of to do is to go back where I belong before anything more terrible happens. We've all been through a monstrous time. But it's over now. By the time you read this letter, it'll be over for me. And soon, I pray, it'll be over for you both. Go back to your lives, dear Kate and Molly. Go back to your lives and forget the Charles that never was and the David that never should have been. Both of them loved you with all their hearts, even if they did put you through hell. Please forgive them. They never meant to. Charles. I stared at the terrible words, trying to understand what they meant, and then I knew. Molly, get up. Get up, for God's sake. My God, what's happened? I raced out of the house, Molly's voice calling to me in unrecognizable words. They found a car. And they got into it. Let's move ahead. And started driving after Charles, where they think he was. Ahead, the mountain came into sight as we swerved too quickly around a turn in the road. The gold glow of dawn sat on its peak. The sun's coming up, I said mindlessly. Since when does it come up in the north? Molly answered. Oh, God, no. The road up the mountain was steep and twisted. I took it as fast as the four-cylinder car could manage, painfully slow for me, terrifyingly fast for Molly. Jesus Christ, Kate, are you trying to get us killed? No one will die. No one will die. Slow down. I can't. No one will die. The glow was gold and red, too harsh for the rising sun, too cruel for anything but fire. What's the matter with you? Alan, I pleaded, but he was gone. I was too frightened to conjure him back. Yes, Alan was there briefly for a ride. Now he's gone. Kate, please, Molly went on at me, but I only heard my own prayers, my own hysterical pleadings. Don't let this happen. Oh, God, let me be in time. I was not in time. The car was on its side, 30 feet off the road, down into the woods. It burned with a terrible black smoke, its upturned wheels melting, making puddles of molten rubber, the smell of hell. Oh my God, someone said. We stood at the top of the mountain, looking down on the spectacle. Oh my God. And then I was running toward it. Kate, don't! The heat made a wall around the car, a wall to keep strangers out, to lock Charles inside. Charles! Come back. Kate, come back. Charles! The door of the car was open, and from outside the wall I looked in. The front seat was ablaze but empty. I ran around the car as close to the wall as I could before the searing heat claimed me too. Still, no one there. Kate! I looked around wildly. Perhaps he had crawled out of the car before it caught fire. Perhaps he lay near somewhere, alive. No one will die. There seemed to be an entrance into the woods, broken plants, trampled undergrowth. I started toward it. Please, God, please. We could make it right. We could love each other enough to make it right. We needed the chance. We deserved the chance. Please, God, please. Kate! I was right. There was a path. I hurried onto it. Brambles scratched at my legs. An overhanging branch slapped my forehead. We can make up for father and mother and George and Alan and all the curses that followed us and all the lost chances for love and all the failures and all the torments. I saw Charles. He was lying face down in a small clearing directly ahead of me. I stood motionless, waiting for him to move. He didn't move. Charles, my sweet baby Charles, I said to him. Please, Charles, please. And I went to him. I sank down to my knees and took him in my arms, rolling him over, cradling him. Please, Charles, wake up. It's Kate. Wake up. And his head lay to one side in my lap, awkwardly to one side, impossibly to one side. My baby, my baby. But the horror was not yet over, not quite over. I started to drag Charles out of the woods, to bring him home, to bring back what was left of my sweet Charles. And then I saw it. He had been lying on it, and I started to cry. It was the half unburied skeleton of a child, my other Charles. Molly says, after all this story, she says, anyway, for what it's worth, thanks for listening to our troubles. I know it was no picnic. As for me, I think I've said just about all I have to say, except I did the best I could, and that's all anybody can do, isn't it? Last page. Kate. Of course, it wasn't Molly's fault. If blame is to be given, give it to me. I'm the one who aided Charles in his terrible change. I'm the one who helped end his life a second time. If there's any hope to be found in our odyssey, it's that Charles is at peace now, and his death is cleaner than it had been before. And perhaps Molly and I have undone what our mother did so long ago. That could be it, couldn't it? And thus endeth the next. Thanks for sticking with me these 36 days. I don't know if I'll ever read the other book by Bob Randall called The Fan, but it does pique your interest, doesn't it? Have a good night, and we'll see you around.